Tough immigration law just isn't working out. Most immigration workers left, so this farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field. And farmers say many Americans are not physically fit and simply don't work fast enough.
Many of our local farmers are dependent on immigrant labor to pick their crops every day. And that's the produce you and I are buying in the grocery store. But many of the men I spoke with agree that immigrants need to be legalized in some form or fashion. Several of the farmers I spoke with today off camera say the inconsistency of the immigration law is already hitting their business. They told me workers are simply moving to states who do not have immigration laws, and they say that could jeopardize farming.
Keith Smith says most immigration workers left after the law took effect. So this potato farmer hired Americans. Problem is, he says, most show up late, work slower, and are ready to head home after lunch. Some even quit after just one day out in the field.
There's a Hispanic man that works for us, and I say, he's 52, and he'll make anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. I said, if you can keep up with him and do a good job, you can make that. But they're not physically in shape to do it. And, probably not mentally tough enough to do it, some of them.
And why don't I hire Americans? The simple answer is we can't get the workers. No American ever calls. No American ever shows up. That's why we are so grateful for the guys that are willing to come and do the work here on the farm. We can't do this without them. And we can't do this with people in our local communities a lot of the time.
Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. You see, there's a rude awakening happening in America right now. MAGA farmers voted against their policies because they assumed by pushing out immigrants, they were creating job opportunities for Black Americans. But they assumed wrong. Black Americans aren't running to fill those fields. Why? Because they were no longer in the era where back-breaking farm labor is the only option. Black people have moved on into tech, entrepreneurship, education, healthcare, you name it. So now, the farmers who pushed for anti-immigrant policies are watching their farms collapse, no workers, and food rot in the fields. They thought they were voting smart, but ended up voting against their own economic survival. Let's get to see Black Americans' reactions. Then you come back with a complete analysis about this topic, alright? Let's dive into it.
So now that I have fallen down this rabbit hole, I just jumped on the Twitters. And I got an alt Twitter where I pretend to be a MAGA guy. And I saw a live. And I am not kidding you. This dude, or all these dudes, these farmer dudes in there, these farm owner dudes, they're saying, well, we thought the blacks would come back and do the jobs because they don't have jobs. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but black people have jobs. And you thought you were getting your slaves back is basically what you were saying. That's what you thought. It's still going right now. And I'm not going to post a link to it because I don't want to give these people a voice. But they think they're in a safe space on Twitter. They're not.
Didn't I tell y'all that's what they thought? They thought black people were going to go get them jobs in the field. Since the migrants are gone, we ain't got no jobs, so we going to go back in the field and pick. That's what they thought. Oops. We worked for free in this country for 290 years. We ain't picking nothing for y'all. Y'all better get y'all white folks out there and go pick them fruits and them vegetables and take care of them cattle and the chickens. We not going out there. But I made a video. I can't find the shit, damn it. But I made a video when this all started, and I said they think black people are going to go back and work in the fields. That's why Donald Trump said they are taking black jobs. They think that's what we're supposed to go do. And they're finding out real quick. Black people ain't coming. Y'all can hold your breath on that one. We ain't picking shit for y'all. We will grow our own vegetables and take care of our own selves. We not going to them fields. Y'all better figure out what y'all want to do about this immigration policy and these mass deportations, or white folks, get your ass out there and go pick your own goddamn food. But we ain't coming.
Word is out now that the white farmers voted for Donald Trump because they thought they were going to get black Americans in the fields. Because they also thought black folks did not have jobs. So when we put this all together, somehow the white farmers were convinced that black folks don't have jobs. We don't work. we don't work. And so they voted for Donald Trump because they thought, okay, he gonna send them in the fields. So Donald Trump and them, with the whole Project 2025, said, okay, so we got to make this happen. So we got to cut these DEI stuff, all this DEI stuff, to put black Americans out of work. When in reality, they put a bunch of white folk out of work just to get black folks out of work. And so all these cuts that are happening are to try and harm black Americans so much till they think that we're going to go into the fields. Now, when you think about that, that makes you double back and see why they want the Latinos out. Because the Latinos, right, to them, they are reproducing entirely too fast, okay? And so they're like, we got to get them out of here because black Americans don't reproduce as fast as the Latinos. And so if we could get them out, then the black Americans can take their place in the field. This is for real. And so now you double back to the black jobs. They're taking your job. Yes, you got to double back to what he said. They're taking black jobs, y'all. Like, they have all this down. Like, they have all this whole circle. So now let's go back to the farmers, if you're still with me, okay? Because the white farmers, that's what they believed was going to happen. So if y'all got all that straight, this is the message to the white farmers. The last thing you want is for black Americans to be in your fields. Don't let the devil fool you. As a matter of fact, you might want to let the devil fool you to see what's going to happen. But I'm trying to tell you, the last thing you ever going to want is black Americans in your fields.
So y'all remember when it was said that we taking all the black jobs? They really thought that we was going to be looking for black jobs, y'all. You got to be kidding me. Do they think we really looking for farm work? Do they not know that we are educated and we got degrees? And being a farm worker ain't even in the jobs categories that we be looking for. They really don't know how educated some of us are. They don't know how many degrees a lot of us have. They got to be really lost if they think that we want to come and work on their farms. They don't know that our parents and our grandparents growing up wouldn't even let us be outside if it wasn't no shade outside. Do they really think that we gonna work on a farm where ain't no shade trees at? I hate to disappoint y'all, baby, but you gonna have to get somebody else to do it, because we ain't working on nobody's farm. Never. The only way you gonna see black people working on a farm is if they own the farm, because we not working on nobody's farm as no workers. So I hate to disappoint y'all. If y'all thought those was black jobs that black people looking for, honey, you better think again. Because black folks that I know got good jobs. We've had a black president. We had a black vice president. We got black senators. We got black congressmen. We got black CEOs. We got black doctors. We got black nurses. We got black psychiatrists. We got a lot of good black jobs. Now, I don't know what y'all thought we was going to be farm workers for. We don't even want to work in the fast food industry. Those jobs, we don't want those kind of jobs. So, I hate to disappoint you MAGA people, but we don't do farm work. So, get somebody else to do it.
If there are any Midwestern white farmers on this app, I need y'all to confirm this shit. Did y'all really think black folks was gonna work in those fields after y'all got rid of all the immigrants? Y'all thought that we was gonna be working for y'all? Y'all on Twitter throwing it up, talking about Trump that took all the immigrants. We thought the black folks was gonna come work for us. I think the fuck not. I'm sorry, my ancestors didn't fight this fucking hard for me to get back in the sun, bitch. You got me fucked up. You better get all your little kids and get their asses some little sun hats and some visors and some sun cream and some suntan lotion and had them picking that goddamn vegetable. Y'all really wanted some indentured service, didn't y'all? That was not on my bingo card. Y'all really thought that shit? Y'all better go ask your daddy Trump to go get y'all people back. I said this shit during the election.
Them farmers really thought we was going back to them fields. They really thought we was going back to them fields. You know what? My mother was the first generation on her mother's side not to be brought up on a plantation. Not to be brought up on a plantation. That's what I said. My grandfather had a 3rd grade education, but he left my mama 2 houses, property in the bank, property and money in the bank, with a 3rd grade education. And guess what? He worked in fields. My great grandmother worked in fields and cut that cane just like a man. You hear me? And if you think that Eddie Lewis and Victoria C. Jones and all the rest of my ancestors bust their tail in them fields for us to go back to the fields, absolutely not. That's not progress. We're trying to heal from ancestral trauma. We're trying to heal from that. That ain't happening. That produce could rot in them fields before we go back to them fields. They need to let them know that.
The only reason why they voted for shitty britches was because they thought the blacks didn't have jobs and the blacks would come back and work their fields. They thought they were going to get slavery back by voting for shitty britches. But they have been saying loud and proud with their chest that immigrants were taking their jobs. Yet, there are a couple of farms here in Texas that overnight lost 100% of their workforce. But immigrants was taking their jobs, right? Racism is expensive, huh?
They were convinced that when they started deporting these non-black people of color, right, that we were going to be taking their places back in the fields. Essentially, they thought they were getting their slaves back, right? They thought slavery was going to come back full force. We were going to be like, oh, okay, let's get on back to them fields. Because they don't think black people have jobs. But it makes sense because remember when Trump said they're taking your black jobs? Y'all remember that? Yeah, what do y'all think he meant by that? He meant the people that are in the fields now, right? Which are the Hispanic community, the Latinos. He meant that they were taking our black jobs. See, because he thinks that black people's job is to be up in the field. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what he thinks. So it all makes sense now. They really thought, these farm owners really thought that black folk, they were going to deport the Hispanics, the Latino community, and that black people were going to go back to the field working for nothing. And they tell us to stop living in the past.
Hello, Americans who like to eat. I'm Linda, and I want to talk about empty grocery shelves. They are coming, and sooner than we think. There's a 3,000 per day immigrant detention quota. 40% of farm workers in the United States are undocumented. You do the math. Farms are an excellent place to find undocumented immigrants to detain and deport, depleting the workforce. And now, those who haven't been rounded up are afraid to show up. Let's look at just one state, Texas. According to farmers, this issue has been affecting their farms for a couple of weeks, but overnight, it bottomed out. On several Texas farms, nearly 100% of farm workers aren't showing up. So what does that mean for you? Remember Trump's comment about having $2 instead of 30? Cows are milked 3 times a day. No workers, no milk, and some very unhappy cows. What if your grocery store, instead of getting 30 gallons of milk, gets 2? 28 families will not be able to buy milk. Now extrapolate that among produce. Produce that instead of being harvested is rotting on the vine. Texas is one of the top 10 producers of 40 major commodities. It is the 4th largest agriculture producer in the nation and 2nd in animal products. And it's not just cows not being milked and produce rotting on the vine. 1 in 7 Texans works in an agriculture-related job. If farms stop working, those jobs are affected. Workers not earning money aren't paying taxes. And yes, undocumented workers pay taxes. Without money coming in, they will cut back on things like restaurants and small businesses, movie theaters, wherever they spend their discretionary income. Last week, Trump ordered a halt to immigration enforcement at farms. But it may already be too late to solve the current problem. The lack of workers now mean farms won't hit full production this year. And if they lose planting now, there is nothing to harvest later. Yet, despite Trump's assurances, a few days after his statement, the administration resumed the raids. Vance says the administration plans to continue clearing the country of undocumented immigrants. Quote, "We're enforcing everywhere. In other words, you ought to voluntarily go back and come through the proper channels," unquote. That can literally take years. And frankly, it doesn't protect you from being deported. In the meantime, the question remains, how long are you willing to go without food?
U.S. farmers are regretting their vote for Donald Trump after their business suffers. Womp womp. Since China implemented their tariffs, farmers are suffering because soybean farmers, especially in the Midwest, are not being able to export as much as they're used to. I wonder why. Yet they voted for him anyway. They voted for him about 2 or 3 times, actually. I don't know how you thought voting for him would help you in your business when creating tariffs will probably hurt you, and he's said he's going to do this multiple times, but you know. Another example of Americans thinking that other parts of the world need them the most. Brazil is the #1 soybean import for China. They don't need the US. Brazil is steadily increasing the production year after year after year, while the US has remained stagnant. And y'all thought Donald Trump getting in office will help y'all? You put somebody in office who directly hinders your business. I need these people to take a survey so I can understand why they make the decisions that they do. But again, womp womp. You put somebody in office because of reasons, and now you're paying the price because of those same reasons. You just thought they wouldn't affect you.
Aren't you guys in these fields in Florida? It's super weird. You guys need to get in these fields. This is your dream, not ours, MAGA. Get in these fields and pick the food. I'm so confused where you all are at. You guys are, and believe me, I've done the research. You're all not college educated. This is where you guys should be at. You said a job is a job. That's what you guys said. You said that immigrants were taking our jobs. So you guys need to get in these fields and pick the damn fruit and vegetables. You wanted this. Where are you at? I don't understand why you guys aren't picking all the fruit in the fields. Get in there and get our food.
What we are witnessing isn't just a labor crisis. It's a reckoning. A generation of Black Americans have fought tooth and nail to escape a cycle of low-wage, exploitative labor. So when these voters assumed Black folks would replace immigrant workers, they were out of touch with the progress, dignity, and self-worth that defines the modern Black experience. Now they are learning the hard way. You can't build an economy on racism and wishful thinking. This isn't about laziness. It's about liberations. Black Americans are choosing careers that empower them, not trap them. And those who voted against on hate are now staring at empty fields, no workers, and a bitter lesson in cause and effect. The real question is, will they ever take responsibility, or will they keep blaming everyone but themselves? Thank you so much for tuning in. Do have a lovely time. I'll see you in the next video.